Oh, everybody else tripping. It ain't me. It's them. But when you at home at night and you lay your head on that pillow, you know the truth. You don't want to address it, but you know the truth. Yourself.
No, for real. You got to stay with me because you just said some people gray rock themselves, and we know this.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Mike Moore. Now here's the latest from the Black Information Network. President Biden announces $150 million in federal grants to fight cancer. Biden made the announcement Tuesday at Tulane University in New Orleans, Louisiana, and said the funding will help develop new technology to remove cancerous tumors. A Minnesota state trooper accused of killing an African-American motorist last summer during a traffic stop is back at work. Ryan Londrigan is back on the job in Golden Valley. He originally was charged with shooting and killing Ricky Cobb II. The USDA will expand testing for bird flu in beef entering the nation's food supply. The decision comes as almost 200 herds of dairy cattle have contracted bird flu since March. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. At Blindster, we offer custom-made faux wood and real wood blinds and shutters, cellular shades, Roman shades, bamboo shades, exterior shades, and more, all at factory direct prices. Don't pay too much for new blinds. Go to Blindster.com.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Colin Kaepernick still wants to play in the NFL. In an interview with Sky Sports, a network based in London, the celebrated and vilified quarterback said he can still help a team win a championship. Kaepernick, now 36, hasn't played in 7 years. He was essentially blackballed by the NFL for kneeling during the national anthem in 2016 to protest social injustices in America. New Chargers coach Jim Harbaugh is the one NFL coach who might be willing to talk to his owner about giving Kaepernick a chance. Chargers owner Dean Spanos would have the final say. When Harbaugh was coaching the 49ers, Kaepernick was his starting quarterback for 2 seasons. Kaepernick led the 49ers to the Super Bowl in 2013 and the NFC title game in 2014. Harbaugh and Kaepernick have kept in touch. Last year, Harbaugh invited Kaepernick to the University of Michigan spring game and named him an honorary captain. Stay tuned on this situation. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
I need your dollar, that's what I need.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates small businesses, the enduring lifeblood of our community, with the launch of the KBLA SMB Marketplace. For the first time, small to medium-sized businesses will have an opportunity to promote their goods and services on KBLA and take advantage of our powerful reach and local marketing power. The SMB Marketplace is hosted exclusively on KBLA1580.com and is accessible from all our social media channels. Whether you're a small mom-and-pop restaurant, a car dealership, or a professional practitioner, we invite you to join in this new KBLA Talk 1580 initiative to promote your business. As a black-owned small business, you don't want to miss this unique opportunity to gain new customers on KBLA Talk 1580. For more information, contact us today at smb@kbla1580.com. That's smb@kbla1580.com. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
And if I share with you my story, would you share your shadow with me? Time to get it.
First things first.
Things first, it's the DU General, Money P. I'ma put you up on the schedule, 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not to unsettle you. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DiPrima go way back. Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis.
First things first.
KBLA Talk 1580. Good morning and God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. This show is called First Things First, and my first thing today and every day is giving thanks, giving praises, asking for blessings from God, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders, and getting it going. Let's get our day started together. This is how we do it. Hour one, we look to the left coast, what's going on the Pacific Ocean side of town. Hour two, we go national, international, and beyond. And in the third hour, we do a deep dive with a hot topic or a hot person. You know, I mean that, of course, intellectually speaking. Could be any kind of hot, actually. And this is Wednesday, so we do Wealth Building Wednesday, where we focus on small business, Black-owned, entrepreneurial social enterprises, women and BIPOC businesses, and opportunities for you. We do that every Wednesday at the top of hour two. And so we are on format and on point today, and we welcome you in. I do, well, let me wait a second before I do that. Let me not get ahead of myself. I am so pleased to welcome in as my partner in politics today, the director of Live Free California, a lifelong resident of South Central Los Angeles. And he says since gaining his freedom after 22 years of incarceration, he joined LA Voice as an AmeriCorps Vista Fellow, became a staffer, worked on Prop 47 as an organizer in 2016, and became a Justice Transformation and Voter Engagement organizer in 2017. Currently, Live Free California is the mission. Good morning.
Good morning, Dominique. Good morning, KBLA listeners, and thank you for inviting me to come hang out with you and be your co-conspirator for this morning and give our folks the information that they need.
As long as I can be an unindicted co-conspirator.
Oh, yeah, we're not trying to get indicted.
I'm good with that. Man, this is your kind of your wheelhouse right now, right? This election season, all of the organizing and educating that has to go on between now and November 5th.
Yeah. I think what's important for us and what's important for us to do for our people and for the areas we represent is to really get people informed and get them educated on how important voting is, just not the act of picking up a pen or using a computer screen to check the box, but also knowing who you're voting for and why you're voting for them. We don't want to find ourselves in the position that we're voting for folks that in the public eye, it appears that they have our best interest, but on the voting floor in Sacramento and Washington, they're voting to get our best interest. So I think for this election in particularly, we really need to do our research and look at voter histories and what some of our politicians have been voting for in the past.
And the thing about it is that does not mean, okay, this is me editorializing, but it's kind of my job. That does not mean just something that you saw on TikTok or Instagram where someone made some points and then you didn't see a source, right?
Exactly. What it means is just taking the time, because technology has made it so easy for us to get in one of those browsers or search engines and ask a question or to get information about a voting record. What was the person's or a politician who may be seeking some position, a judge who may be seeking some position, councilman, board of supervisors, you name it, what did their voting record look like? Did the conversation switch in the last couple elections to something that's in the interest of the community, but 10 years prior they were voting contrary to? And we need to know that, because then we can ask better questions. We can have a better anticipation of what would be coming from them based on who they were.
Okay, so it sounds like you have someone specific in mind.
I don't really have anybody specific in mind. It's
okay,
just that I think that's the kind of information we need, because if we don't know what they're voting for, say, for instance, in Sacramento, what some of the assembly members are voting for, if we don't know what they're voting for, then we don't know where their
okay. Well, I have
passions
a few specific examples.
Okay.
To me, right now, we're looking at the district attorney's race. From what I understand, DA George Gascon is trailing right now in the polls.
Yeah.
He's a progressive DA. A lot of people say, well, former cop. there's a lot of hit pieces on him, not just in commercials, but on the internet.
Yeah.
Painting him as hypocritical, saying a lot. I've heard black people that seem to have sense, saying he's letting everybody out of jail. And that, that crime is running rampant, even though the numbers show something different. Nathan Hochman I don't know, is he a Democrat now? He was a Republican. I think he switched to Democrat.
Exactly.
He was Republican, 2 months ago when he ran for state attorney general and lost. That's the position Kamala Harris formerly had. Yeah. But apparently he's leading in the polls. This is a man who does believe in the death penalty, a man who does believe he's a Republican. I guess he doesn't consider himself a Republican anymore. Yeah. But he's the old-fashioned lock-em-up district attorney who is backed by Steve Cooley, Jackie Lacey, and all the folks that we worked as progressives to remove. To me, that's an example of people saying, well, he's a Democrat. He says he's going to do this, but look at his record.
I think with that particular election, it really ties into like doing your research and having an understanding and folks knowing what's going on and not like tuning out to the information. Yeah, the current DA has a journey through law enforcement, but through that journey, I believe he had the ability to see what was broken and found himself in the position where he could address some of the needs of the community and did that with his directives. And when Hochman, you have an individual that says he's going to repeal the current DA's directives, which would have a direct negative impact on the community. Crime is down. Violent crime is down. Property crimes may be up a bit, but you shouldn't punish the population at large simply because one section of criminal activity and property crime is up. You want to lock everybody up for that?
Specific property crimes.
You want to lock everybody up. You want to start re-engaging 3 strikes and sending individuals to jail for life sentences for crimes that don't require a life sentence, but simply because that is what the law prescribes, and that is unfair. You want to start sending individuals that can't even get a driver's license to prison.
See, that's one of the things I'm really concerned about.
Yes.
And I think we sleep on it as black people. Sorry, unpopular opinion. Uh-huh. I've been through this cycle so many times, Tim. Whether it's, I was on the radio when y'all passed the 3 strikes.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Telling you, please don't do this. This is a mistake. We get caught up in this illusion that somehow this is going to make us safer. And what it ends up doing is mass incarceration on our community and specifically our kids when you're talking about, charging kids as adults. Kids are not adults. Yeah. I'm not saying they shouldn't have consequences. I'm not saying that at all. But, a dog is not a cat. A kid is not an adult. I mean, come on now. Common sense to me.
Yeah. And I've been in those situations with those youngsters who find themselves with these sentences that no human being could ever complete and see how it robs them of any degree of hope and it robs them of their spirit. And they don't understand when they make these bad decisions what the consequences of those decisions are.
Yeah, well, and also to me it points to throwing people away.
Yes.
Well, okay, this young person committed a crime. Let's throw them away. And you know what? Look at what's happening in our juvenile incarceration system too. It's like the attitude, and I'm talking specifically LA County right now.
Yeah.
The attitude is like, oh, well, they did something criminal, let's just throw them away. Let's treat them like adults. Let's put them in systems where they're abused and warehoused. What the actual, don't make me cuss on the radio. Mm-hmm. Come on, black people. I was just on Instagram last night and they were complaining about how Dorsey High only has 500 students. No, not Dorsey, Crenshaw. Mm-hmm. And they can't field a football team. Of course, I haven't independently verified that, but I know that public schools are seeing a lot of empty buildings right now. The same thing happening in Inglewood where schools are shutting down. And there's a number of reasons for it. But if you're on the one hand, you're bemoaning the fact that people are moving out to the suburbs, people can't afford to live in LA because of the rents. They're taking their kids to charter schools. Black people specifically are paying for their kids to go to private schools even when they can't really afford it. All of these factors, right? And they're trying to say the birth rate is low. Okay. But yet you want to warehouse kids as adults. Yeah. If you're so worried about not having enough kids, why don't you redeem some of the ones that are already in the foster system, in the juvenile justice system?
Exactly. And the economic piece is, why don't you take some of the enormous amount of funding that's being utilized to criminalize folks and pay for these mass incarceration apparatuses that exist and invest it in schools?
Yeah, that part. Yeah. Hey, we invite you to chime in here, 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. Some really interesting polling numbers have just come out around Vice President Kamala Harris and how she's perceived in the state of California. Also, you know, there's a lot of conversation about her as a person, speaking of people whose road passes through the criminal justice system, through law enforcement, and as someone who has actually been incarcerated yourself and been very involved in the electoral politics system. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about both of those things. That's coming up. Oh, you know what? Let me not forget this. Your cousin. It's her birthday.
Hey, cuz. Hey, April.
April Sims. Mwah. We love you. You might know her from April's Life in a Bottle, Delicious Juices. You might know her from the old days at Simply Wholesome. You might know her from being an activist in the community or a natural hair expert or hair and beauty expert. All these things. We love you. Your cousin is like a sister to me.
Yeah.
Happy birthday,
April. Love you, cuz. Happy birthday.
And, of course, to all the Leos. It is Leo season. KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward. Tavis is like George and Wheezy. He's moving on up. Last year, Tavis was number 45 on the Talkers magazine list of the 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America. Wait for it. Wait for it. The 2024 list was recently released, and Tavis has jumped to number 33 on the list of the nation's most important talkers, making him the highest-ranked African-American on the coveted roster. Congratulations to Tavis Smiley from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580. We've got you black.
Don't settle for bumps, ingrowns, and itch due to dry skin. Try Venus for pubic hair and skin, the razor and regimen specifically designed for your pubic area, featuring a razor with patented irritation defense bar and skincare regimen that is dermatologist and gynecologist tested. Venus helps protect your pubic skin from shave irritation. Discover the full regimen of products at GilletteVenus.com.
Girl, I have a secret. When I get stressed out, I get sweaty. That's why I use Secret Clinical Antiperspirant. It's like my own secret weapon. For 72 hours, I get Secret's strongest protection against sweat caused by stress, heat, and activity, because you know how crazy life can get. Plus, it's made with advanced odor fighters that don't just cover up smelliness. They help prevent it from happening in the first place. Believe me, if I weren't wearing Secret, I'd be a hot, smelly mess. Thankfully, Secret works.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Race, culture wars, political turf battles, criminal justice, and injustice. The courts. These are the conversations you won't hear elsewhere. My guests are leading journalists, celebrities, and sports figures, elected leaders, and influencers. They aren't afraid to get into it and say the quiet part out loud. With Ariva Martin in real time, your commute just became the most engaging part of your day. Tune in weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. or find us on YouTube. Ariva Martin in real time, when you want it straight, no chaser.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. Your ancestors' favorite radio station. And your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Right now. Yeah, it's election season. It is busy. I know your main function, you run a nonprofit or you are engaged in helping to run a nonprofit, is to get people informed and get them out to vote.
Exactly.
How do you think we're doing? Are you feeling this enthusiasm that we're hearing so much about? Do you think people are checking their registrations in view of what's happening nationwide with people being purged from voter rolls, or you may not even know that you no longer are registered? How are you feeling?
I think the energy, and it's usually this way around the presidential election, is high. It's generating a lot of conversation, which is good. It's getting folks energized and ready to participate. But we have to pay attention to what's going on locally, because locally is where things really happen. Yeah. The city council person that you elect this year, 15 years from now, might be the person that's running for president. The DA that you elect this year, 20 years from now, might be somebody who's running for president, and you don't want somebody to be in those positions who don't have the best interests of the community.
I mean, not only they might be the one running for president, they might be the one incarcerating your mom. I mean, real talk. Or you. We have to look at these. To me, we have to look at these things in historical context, right? L.A. doesn't have a good history when it comes to the incarceration, the over-incarceration of Black people, of Latino people, of protesters, right? Yeah. And so, I mean, and when we talk about over-incarceration, it's not just a question of whether or not you get convicted or indicted. It's a question of what happens afterwards. And when we're talking about enhancements and 3 strikes and those type of policies, it's not just whether or not you do the time, it's what that time looks like.
Exactly. And with the legal structure of right now, LA is the most different county in the country, because one of Gascon's directives is no 3 strikes.
Right.
Which limits the number of Black and brown folks that are being kidnapped from the community and the time that they're getting, which is a redress and only fair when you consider from the 90s there are folks still coming home from nonviolent crimes who got 25, 35, 45, 55 years to life or something, and there is no life lost attached to it. There are individuals who have been in jail for 30 years for gun possession, and it wasn't necessarily a loaded gun, just for having a gun. And what kind of sense does that make, to rob somebody of so much opportunity simply because the law prescribed said that this is what a prosecutor could do, this is what a judge could do, and the discretion was taken away?
Right. The discretion of the judge to decide what's appropriate is what you're referring to. I think we also need to look at, these laws and these policies, because in the district attorney's office, it's a policy.
Yes.
What do we decide we're going to do? Are we going to encourage the use of enhancements, which can make sentences even longer, or discourage that? I have seen data that show that longer and longer sentences do not keep communities safer.
Not at all.
What I haven't seen, but I imagine, I assume this is true from common sense, is that, people are not, getting rehabilitated. I mean, the longer and longer sentence doesn't mean you're more likely to come out with job training or with anger management or with, the kinds of skills that you need to be able to incorporate yourself back into the community, which means you're actually more likely to be part of that revolving door.
Well, I mean, that's another component of the story. The excessive sentences are one thing, but the fact that there's an absence of the opportunity to rehabilitate once you are incarcerated, which makes it worse. So you can actually spend that enormous amount of time and not receive any level of training that's applicable once you get free. So you find yourself back in the world after being MIA for 5, 10, 15, 20 years with no marketable skill. filled with anxiety, filled with fear, wondering what you're going to do and how you're going to support yourself. And there's an unreasonable expectation that you're supposed to figure it out instantly. There are folks who've never been anywhere near a place of incarceration that can't figure it out.
Yeah. Which reminds me, my friend and colleague, Judge Songhai Armstead and the Justice, Care, and Opportunities Department of LA County, which of course is, funded through the largesse of our Board of Supervisors, has a hotline that a lot of people don't know about for people, justice-involved individuals, where they'll actually pick you up and take you to court. They'll give you reminders of your court date, support for finding, a place to go when you get out. And a lot of people don't know about it. So it's 833-522-5263, 833-522-5263. It's 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. They answer the phone.
Well, let's give a shout out to JCOD and Judge Armstead for having such a program, but also being the vehicle which is funding a lot of the CBOs that are doing the violence reduction, that are doing like the reentry programs and actually giving an individual the opportunity to invest their time in something that could wind up in successful reintegration. Because the real challenge is pre-entry. It's not reentry. If you do all that time and you get out here, then that's when the race starts. But if there's more investment in the rehabilitation of folks while they're in and not in the salaries of those who are holding them in there, then it would make a lot of difference.
Interesting. That 833-522 5263 number, you don't have to be the justice involved person. You could be their mom, their girlfriend, their brother, and say, hey, how can you help my brother? Anyway, so I brought up these numbers, this new polling that's out today, really strong. It's focused on California. And I know, Live Free California doesn't endorse candidates because you're a nonprofit. Nevertheless, the fact that this new polling is showing, this is from Berkeley's Institute of Governmental Studies, that Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris, is leading Trump 59% to 34% in California. That's an enormous lead. She is, Democrats were going to win California, Biden or Harris. But when we're talking about enthusiasm and people voting down the ticket, this is potentially very, very important. This is a 7-point jump from where Biden was. And you're seeing that especially big distinction between the 18 to 29-year-olds, where she has a 23-point advantage over Joe Biden. And black voters, 16% advantage. So apparently those black people that are not so very online understand that Harris is black. And also, to your point, voting on positions that advantage us. How do you see that kind of enthusiasm, impacting your work as far as engagement and getting people to vote down the ballot?
What I find when having this conversation with folks is there's a disinterest because they don't understand how politics impact them. So it's really developing a communication strategy that gives them the information that shows them how they're impacted, because different conversations have to be shaped for different rooms. And when you're talking to somebody that's just a stakeholder in the community, then that's not the conversation that you have in the movement rooms. And a lot of folks disengage because they feel like, I don't understand anything that you're actually talking about. Make it make sense. So when
you say movement rooms, you're saying a lot of organizers and political activists are talking organized speak.
Exactly.
And pollsters are talking pollster speak, and politicians speak, and they're not actually addressing what people on the streets are really worried about.
Yeah, that.
Meanwhile, Sexy Red says, Trump gave you a check, which isn't even true because Congress gave you that doggone check.
Well, read my mind, because that's where I was going next. And that's what folks need to understand. That was something that was put in America by the House of Representatives, and Trump just happened to be the president.
Right.
And wanted to take credit for it afterward, but we need to understand that the stimulus opportunity and the PPP opportunity that folks had, that is not something that came directly from the president. That is because your representatives decided that people needed economic relief, and folks should not confuse that.
Yeah. We got news, traffic, and sports right now. You're invited in. Continuing our conversation with Tim Kornegay when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The United Auto Workers Union is filing federal labor charges against former President Trump and billionaire Elon Musk. The move comes after Trump and Musk held a 2-hour conversation on X Monday night. Tropical storm Ernesto has been pounding eastern Puerto Rico with torrential rainfall as forecasters warn it could strengthen into a hurricane today. It isn't expected to hit the U.S. mainland. New York City Mayor Eric Adams plans on highlighting the migrant crisis when he heads to Chicago, Illinois next week for the Democratic National Convention. The African-American mayor says he'll be meeting with national Democratic leaders to talk about the issue, and he'll push for speeding up work authorization for migrants. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. At Blindster, we offer custom-made faux wood and real wood blinds and shutters, cellular shades, Roman shades, bamboo shades, exterior shades, and more, all at factory direct prices. Don't pay too much for new blinds. Go to Blindster.com.
Is this the title? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Colin Kaepernick still wants to play in the NFL. In an interview with Sky Sports, a network based in London, the celebrated and vilified quarterback said he can still help a team win a championship. Kaepernick, now 36, hasn't played in 7 years. He was essentially blackballed by the NFL for kneeling during the national anthem in 2016 to protest social injustices in America. New Chargers coach Jim Harbaugh is the one NFL coach who might be willing to talk to his owner about giving Kaepernick a chance. Chargers owner Dean Spanos would have the final say. When Harbaugh was coaching the 49ers, Kaepernick was his starting quarterback for 2 seasons. Kaepernick led the 49ers to the Super Bowl in 2013 and the NFC title game in 2014. Harbaugh and Kaepernick have kept in touch. Last year, Harbaugh invited Kaepernick to the University of Michigan spring game and named him an honorary captain. Stay tuned on this situation. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
History is being made. LA Civil Rights and the LA City Reparations Advisory Commission is about to unveil a groundbreaking reparations report. Come learn more about the impact of the Black experience in Los Angeles. Join us on Tuesday, August 27th, 5 p.m. at CSUN's Student Union for the official release and panel discussion. For more information, call 213-978-1845 or visit laisforeveryone.com. Again, laisforeveryone.com. Be part of this monumental moment.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent. So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle.
Tide Free and Gentle has no dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on her skin.
If it's gotta be clean, it's gotta be Tide Free and Gentle. This back-to-school season, Tide and Downy are giving back with $1.5 million in scholarships. Enter to win. No purchase necessary. US/DC 17+. End September 30th. Rules. Tide.com/scholarship/official rules.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer whenever I want? Can we sleep cooler? Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. 94% of Sleep Number smart sleepers report better sleep. J.D. Power ranks Sleep Number #1 in customer satisfaction with mattresses purchased in-store. And now, during our biggest sale of the year, save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Limited time. For J.D. Power 2023 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
To help combat climate change, LADWP is helping neighborhoods have better access to electric vehicles by awarding nearly $1 $130 million in EV rebates to customers just like you. From big savings on used EVs to building new charging plazas, LADWP is charging ahead to help all Angelinos experience the benefits of EVs. Get rebates of up to $4,000 for a used EV and $1,750 for a charger. Learn more at ladwp.com/EV. That's ladwp.com/EV.
Welcome to Chicago. A new chapter in black political history will soon be written in Chicago at the Democratic National Convention. KBLA Talk 1580 will be the only talk station in LA with 5 shows broadcasting live from the DNC in Chicago, August 19th through the 23rd. Dominique DiPrima, Nicolai Corte, Ariva Martin, Adrian Shropshire, and Tavis Smiley will all be in Chicago bringing the convention to you like no other talk station in Southern California for the critical issues and conversations that matter most to you. Keep it locked to KBLA Talk 1580. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got Kamala covered.
It's better over here. If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has an exclusive rate plan just for you. Right now, get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings versus Verizon and AT&T. Plus, you can get one of the latest 5G phones free when you add a line. That's right, a free 5G phone. Experience all this and more on America's largest 5G network. So why wait? At T-Mobile, customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Just go to T-Mobile.com/choice55 or visit your local store to make the switch.
With AutoPay using debit or bank account plus taxes and fees, 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. Free phones up to $300 off with 24 monthly bill credits and qualifying new line for well-qualified customers plus tax and $35 device connection charge. Contact us before canceling entire account to continue remaining bill credits. Bill credits end if you pay off device early. See details at T-Mobile.com.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Oh my. I hope you're on the YouTube stream. Good morning to all who are. Tim Kornegay is my guest from Live Free, California. Sometimes I wish you could hear the stuff we talk about in between. Good word, my brother. Black people stop being played. Youth, use your brains. Remember your powerful history of resistance, knowledge, and power. That's Courtney. Now, justice, representation. Okay, these comments are moving too fast. I'm still West Abdullah Uhuru Sasa. And we can't win until we push the line. A lot of interesting comments in the chat. I can't keep up with all of them. It's moving too fast right now, but you can get in there by going to youtube.com, KBLA 1580. Talking about these polling numbers, looking at the election, one of the things we were touching on is the fact that you feel like we're still in a pretty perilous moment as far as whether or not people will show up. Community people. We're talking about those movement rooms, the political rooms versus regular everyday people.
Yeah, we need to get out there and start having these conversations at these events that are taking place. We need to start explaining to our folks how important their voice is, the simple process it is to vote, and actually having conversations around the politicians who are running for office or the legislative measures that are on the ballot that we need to take a look at and vote for. Now, I move around in the community and I'm moving these spaces from movement rooms with 100 people to backyards with 200 people, to folks who are totally disengaged with this process. And those are the spaces that we need to have these conversations in, because they aren't being counted. The folks who are in the backyards that are having the hood days and the community events, you aren't being counted, and you aren't being counted is because the system doesn't believe that you care.
Well, that's the group I call unlikely voters.
Yeah.
And the unlikely voters, when we decide to show up,
we show out.
Yeah, I mean that's without unlikely voters. There's no Obama. There's no President Obama. That didn't happen.
But we
there's
need
no
to
Karen
understand
Bass
that power.
without unlikely voters.
We need to understand that power. The individual that's male or female, and however your gender identification is, that you're hanging out somewhere and you think you don't matter because your numbers equal a million other numbers that could make a difference. When you step up, that's when the world changes.
And right now, I mean, we were talking about, by the way, before I forget, Paul Lee says I need to get in the same room with this black man to talk. If people do want to reach out to you, find you, how can they find you?
At Tim at livefreeca.org, or because I'm one of the leading voices for Southern California ceasefire as well, SoCal ceasefire 135 at gmail.com. And you can go to either website. you can go to either website, SoCalCeasefire.org or livefreeca.org, and my number is there. My information is there. If you want to reach out and have these conversations and you want to help build and make change for the communities we come from and represent, let's get it.
Yeah. Before we go to the phones, 800-920-1580, if you got something to say. We were talking about this perception, and I hear it so much from in those rooms you're talking about, in those backyards that you're talking about, and in entertainment circles, not just Sexy Red. A lot of people, the 50 Cents of the world and whatnot, that believe that Donald Trump signed the First Step Act because it was his idea, that he's going to be better for people who are formerly incarcerated, will keep people out of jail. And obviously Lil Wayne thinks that, Lil Pump thinks that, probably lots of other people with Lil on the front of their names thinks that. But the fact is, First Step started under Obama. Trump signed it, and to his credit, I credit him. That was one of the few good things he did. But why is that, why is that not a convincing argument?
Well, I think what those individuals need to understand who have that bigger platform is the community needs you, not this person that you feel may empower the community. The community needs you to educate. The community needs you to use your platform to get folks involved. If you believe that this person will be better for the community, that's a personal choice. Vote in a personal choice. But if that person is not in the best interest of folks like you who don't have $10 million, $100 million, or $1 billion, and it doesn't serve the interest of the average person, which is the majority of the population, then you need to make wise decisions. And don't make decisions for those who are well off that are going to forget about those of us who aren't, who are struggling to make ends meet.
So 2 things about that. Number one, Social Security. Trump has already said he'll cut it. It's outlined in Project 2025. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know 50 Cent personally or Kodak Black or any of those guys, Lil Wayne, but I'm pretty sure they have family members who will be surviving off of Social Security. Grandmas, mamas, aunties, uncles, because that's what most black people have to survive off. We don't have a big nest egg savings account for when we get old. That's number one. That's why I say that you're voting to starve Granny. Number two, people don't realize that while Trump was, giving leniency to Lil Wayne or advocating for Kodak Black, he personally made sure at least 12 people were executed in the last couple months of his presidency. And I think at least 5 of those, I believe, were black.
Yeah, and that's the information that the general public doesn't have. The general public has the controversial and the newsworthy, but it doesn't have the backstory that ends up on page 25 of a 50-page column. It doesn't have what's in the small print, and it's our responsibility to share the small print, because oftentimes that's what dictates the play. That's what dictates what happens. That's the part that we miss, and something happens, and then they show us the small print and be like, this was tacit consent, because it says right here.
Right. I mean, he's giving you with one hand, and he's giving you Obama's leftovers while he's taking away with the other hand. Now, this is me talking, not Live Free California, but I just don't understand. Someone says, oh, yeah, we letting out a couple rich brothers, a couple rich jokers, but we're going to kill some of these poor ones that we got in prison.
Yeah.
Is that the deal you want? That's the deal that you, the celebrity team, are taking for our community? You going to be all right. We're going to give you a tax cut and a pardon. But your cousin with no money that's on death row, he's going to die. That's the deal. That's the deal you're willing to make, right now.
But not only on death row, your cousin that's about to make a bad decision because they don't have the information and are economically deprived because somebody like that could be in office. Think about them. Think about what could happen and think forward. Like if I make a decision today, how can I justify it 10 years from now, 20 years from now? Don't make immediate decisions that have immediate impact or immediate gratification that the rest of us are going to be suffering 20 years from now. We're already suffering with the Supreme Court.
Woo, speak on that. I mean, but you talk about a plain spoken and not patting ourselves on the back and getting all movement speak and all political speak. I think the average person in any community, in any backyard would understand, okay, here's your deal. Will you trade a pardon for 2 rich black people for killing 5 poor ones?
I think that's
on any given day, because that's exactly that's the deal we took in the last months of the Trump administration.
And will you trade your future to do good for the next 6 months?
Will you trade your... let's go to Mike calling us from L.A. Good morning, Mike. Mike, you there? You ready? You ready to go, Mike?
How you doing? Good morning.
I'm blessed. How are you?
I'm blessed. What's up, Tim?
What's up, Mike? How you doing?
Hey, man, I'm all right. I'm feeling like $1 million check just waiting to get cash, but I wanted to chime in.
That's what I'm talking about.
I wanted to chime in on the conversation, and this is a conversation that you and I, Tim, was supposed to been having, and gonna have probably this weekend, I'm sure. This is Mike Richardson.
Okay, Mike Richardson, you want to weigh it? Elaborate for those of us who aren't going to be with you guys this weekend.
We're supposed to be. No, we're going to be getting together. We're going to be having a get together this weekend. A community get together.
I know, but for those of us who won't be there, tell us what you're talking about. I mean, for those of us who might not be invited.
No, we're going to be talking about. Tim been trying to pull me to the side about pulling me in on this conversation. But I'm formerly incarcerated. I just did 30 years. So I wanted to talk about how important I understand voting is, because had it not been for, and I'm talking about the senators and the people that overlook, it's just not the presidents and the DAs, because I had a life without sentence for a crime I didn't commit. And I'm out here right now only because the law changed. And the law changed because of the people that was in position to change it. So, I think that most definitely it's important to get out there and vote and to have a conversation about how important the senators, the congressmen, they are too in the voting tablet. Because, people think just the DA, the presidential votes, but like I said, I wouldn't be out here today had it not been for the senators and people like Tim that's actually, making a push for our community. So I definitely understood that when I got the message that my brother was going to be on your station, I wanted to chime in because, like I said, I just did 30 years for a crime I didn't commit. Wow. I was innocent. Like I said, I had a life without sentence, which is, really a death sentence. So I should really still be in there right now.
Wow.
And it's a blessing that I'm out.
Tim?
Yeah, it is. Hey, well, it's like I tell you all the time, it's time for you to get involved.
Absolutely.
It's time for you to take your blessing and share it with others. Don't disrespect the blessing and just own it and get a job and live your life and forget about those who you left behind and those who may follow that negative path and end up in the same situation. Use your voice for change.
Absolutely. Because I had a life without sentence, I wasn't able to get those type of trades because they weren't allowing us to do certain things behind the wall.
That's why your voice is important.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you called. I think I hope you'll keep calling, because I think those of us who consider ourselves to be activists, or as you said, Tim, the people that are in the political rooms, need to understand how to reach, your colleagues, your friends, and get the message that you just stated across in an urgent manner, because we are on a short timeline right now before the next election.
Yeah. We got to microwave this effort, and everybody and anybody that wants to get involved has to get involved, and these conversations need to start happening right now.
Yeah. I appreciate the call, Mike.
Have a good day, sir. Stay blessed and stay safe.
Yeah, keep our number. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
Hello, LA. Metro is your partner for thriving communities and sustainable travel. We're dedicated to providing better transit for everyone. When you go Metro, you're more connected to jobs, healthcare, school, and loved ones. It's the way of the future. Start your journey at metro.net. Have you heard of the 50-30-20 rule? This can help you spend and save your money wisely. So, how does it work? Distribute your dollars into 3 buckets. 50% towards needs, 30% towards your wants, and 20% goes to savings. Use this tool to help your journey to financial success. Sponsored by JP Morgan Chase & Company.
Looks like Bobby needs a ride again.
Grab the keys. Let's take our auntie to the swap meet. Grab the keys.
Whether you're giving rides or hauling gear, do it all in a Chevy SUV. Head to your local Chevy dealer, where well-qualified buyers get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Malibu, Colorado, Blazer, Equinox, Trailblazer, and Traverse limited models. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
1.9% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $28.60 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 15.8% must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 7/1/24.
Hey, LA residents, it's planting season and the perfect time to get shade trees growing around your home. LADWP and City Plants are giving every resident up to 7 free trees. That's right, 7 free trees delivered right to your door. Trees are great for the environment, help improve air quality, and can help you save on your bill when you use less air conditioning to stay cool indoors. Learn more at ladwp.com/free trees. That's ladwp.com/free trees.
Gonna feel a puff of air.
Zhang's Optometry has set their sights on staffing up.
Try the next line. Hey, Kim, can you tell our 2 o'clock we're running 15 behind? Sorry, we're a bit backed up today.
He needs an optometric technician to keep an eye on it all.
Where are the dilation drops?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
What's up? I'm Miles.
Hey, and I'm Jara.
And a little thing we love about the Chick-fil-A Maple Pepper Bacon Sandwich is how the flavors come together. First, I taste the smoky grilled chicken, then the pepper bacon with that maple bun, added with the sweet heat and the pickles.
I'm really sold on the pickle. It meets you in the middle with the sweetness and the heat.
It's spice-tastic.
Yum-licious.
Flavoristic.
The sandwich of the summer. The Maple Pepper Bacon Sandwich.
Order the Maple Pepper Bacon Sandwich on the Chick-fil-A app today. Available for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text LION to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text LION to 42424. That's LION to 42424.
Heard any other talk radio lately that sounds anything like this? We didn't think so. You're listening to Unapologetically Progressive, KBLA Talk 1580.
All right, we got some folks on the phone, and real quick, we were talking about people who have one image, but then they vote another way. Yeah. And there's a lot of people, online at least, who believe that Vice President Kamala Harris incarcerated huge numbers of black men. That's one of the talking points about her.
Yeah, well, I won't defend the Attorney General's position. But what I would say is, in the era of the 3 strikes, the fans of fear were in high gear, and the country wanted something. California led the way in the 3 strikes energy as an emergency initiative first, and then as a ballot initiative that became law. So everybody in California allowed 3 strikes to be passed. And even though at that particular time, Kamala Harris was, and
she was not attorney general. She became district attorney in 2004, and 2004 through 2011 in San Francisco. She was attorney general.
Attorney general. She was
attorney general in like 2012 or something like that. Let me look it up.
But even though she held that position, she held the sentiment of California at that particular time, because sometimes we won't vote in our best interest. We will allow fear to make us surrender a degree of our rights for the illusion of safety.
Yes, but it's also worth noting, I mean, I'm from the Bay, right? So I'm familiar with her. It's also worth noting that she was well regarded for the alternatives to incarceration programs that she put in as DA. And she was elected attorney general in 2010, reelected in 2014. So even though you're right, we're still dealing with a lot of the policies that came into play during the 90s when everyone was scared by the crack epidemic, and they were willing to lock up their mama, basically, at that point.
We all were willing to, those of us who weren't on the other side of the table, we all were, folks were willing to surrender a degree of their rights in order to feel safe, and locking up folks do not equate to any degree of safety. It's an illusion.
I was trying to talk you guys out of that stuff back then, and I'm still, can you just listen to me? No, I know. It's frustrating because I feel like I say these things and then I watch us get incarcerated and pimped by the system, and then we're mad about it, and then we are getting ready to make the same mistake again, possibly. Amir from Hawthorne, you have the mic.
Hey, how y'all doing today?
Good.
Hey.
What's on your mind?
Well, I wanted to talk about education because there was a great quote by Carter G. Woodson in The Miseducation of the Negro, and they were talking about something about the lynching bill, and Carter G. Woodson said that the first lynching takes place in the classroom. He said that if the lynching didn't take place in the classroom, it wouldn't take place on the street. So all these things we're talking about, mass incarceration, all these political things, is because we haven't been allowed to be educated for 90% of the time that we've been in this country. And so just the few 50 years that we've been in education, we're supposed to be able to solve the generational trauma that we faced. And I just find that disturbing, that we're not talking about building our own schools, because the school to prison pipeline is what fuels all of this. And so if we don't open up our own schools, then how can we talk about these issues when there's a solution right in front of our face?
Tim, you got a response to that?
Thank you for that. And what I would say to that is education is important, but I think the educational system as it structures is done to create a good worker and not a leader. I think we need to lean towards non-traditional education and teach individuals how to.
You know that.
Yeah.
You know me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just want to let you guys have a conversation. I have my own take on this, but I know we're tight on time, seriously.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, it's about non-traditional education and teaching our people how to become their best selves and not how to become just good workers.
But in the meantime, we do have some schools. And not that many, but we do have some. But the vast majority of children do not have access to those schools. I don't think you can just say, well, wait until we have our own schools. Yeah. I think you have to fight for the ones that are there and improve them as much as you can until such time as we have enough of our own schools for all children.
Agreed.
Absolutely right. I'll leave you guys with one more quote because I know you're pretty busy. But Malcolm X once said, "Any man or woman who allows their enemy to educate their children are fools." And so when we're talking about this mass educational system, we're letting these people who have been enemies to us and still to this day educate our children. Thank you.
Well, you can't let them educate your children unabated, but, without you chiming in, but you can't not send your kids to school. That's not a good plan either. Our kids aren't reading. Our kids are not freaking reading.
Well, parents have a responsibility as well in teaching their kids and not allowing that 6 to 8 hours that they're in school to be the only education that they're getting. So there's some responsibility and accountability on us. If that's the only education that the kids are getting and what they pick up from leaving school and making it home.
Absolutely. We're up against it. Tim Kornegay, thank you so much for being with us once again, as always.
Well, thank you, Dominique. Anytime you need me to pull up and hang out, I'm there.
Definitely. It's election season. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
News, traffic, and sports, and this time for a Wealth Building Wednesday. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The United Auto Workers Union is filing federal labor charges against former President Trump and billionaire Elon Musk. The move comes after Trump and Musk held a 2-hour conversation on X Monday night. Tropical storm Ernesto has been pounding eastern Puerto Rico with torrential rainfall as forecasters warn it could strengthen into a hurricane today. It isn't expected to hit the U.S. mainland. New York City Mayor Eric Adams plans on highlighting the migrant crisis when he heads to Chicago, Illinois next week for the Democratic National Convention. The African-American mayor says he'll be meeting with national Democratic leaders to talk about the issue, and he'll push for speeding up work authorization for migrants. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. At Blindster, we offer custom-made faux wood and real wood blinds and shutters, cellular shades, Roman shades, bamboo shades, exterior shades, and more, all at factory direct prices. Don't pay too much for new blinds. Go to Blindster.com.
Is this the This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Colin Kaepernick still wants to play in the NFL. In an interview with Sky Sports, Age in America, new Chargers coach Jim Harbaugh is the one NFL coach who might be willing to talk